7 minutes in heaven. Dave, tell us what that is.
7 minutes in heaven is our favorite scenes in the movie. In this segment, since we're doing two movies, I've picked 3 scenes for each movie. So that'll be a total of 12 scenes today.
You go ahead and start. You go ahead and start, sir.
These first 3 are from the original. My first one is the I'll say my number 3 is the wedding ceremony. The dance that some people say, like I watched Cinema Sins, they did a video on the dance, or they did a video on everything wrong with Coming to America, and one of the things that they pointed out was how long that dance was during the wedding ceremony in the original.
I'll sum that up with a conjunction. And?
Yeah. I think one of the things that makes it so humorous to me is that it keeps going and it keeps cutting like that, and it was just f***ing awesome. And that dance was a sped up rendition of Michael Jackson's Thriller dance, which John Landis also directed. He directed Coming to America and the Thriller video. Then you go into Queen to Be, and then one of the funniest moments of James Earl Jones's entire career when he turns around so impatient, let them wait. That's
one of my first impressions I started doing. That was one of my first ones.
I'm talking to my son. That was
you two are getting long swells.
Yeah, that whole thing was great.
Son, I know I never brought this up, but I always assumed you had sex with your babies. I know I do. Not did.
Yeah.
Do.
Yeah.
Not did. Do. All right, so that was just a one-off there, but for me, I'll start here. And most people, and see, like I say, guys, this is why you come to our show, not for us to tell you just the scenes that everybody talks about. But here's the thing, Mr. McDowell is so emphatic that him and the people have, and I know you think I know where I'm going, but I'm finna f you up. He's so emphatic that him and the McDonald's people have this problem, which clearly they do. You know, he explains all that stuff or whatnot. You know the lines, the arcs, and all that other stuff. But it's about a good 45 minutes later in the movie. And somebody, I can't remember who walks in the office on him, but you clearly see it says McDonald's training manual. Like it shows their whole business plan. Like he's reading it. He has the glasses down. So as much as he hates them, talking, they got a misunderstanding. He's studying like first of all, how'd you get it? How'd you get you? I promise you,
I never noticed that.
It doesn't say McDonald's. It says McDonald's training manual, and McDonald's like some business man. It says business manual. I'm like,
is this like when he comes in about the football game or the basketball game?
No, it's after that, and that's what I thought too. It's not then he's doing something. It's later on for some reason. Oh, if I don't know, I think Lisa comes up to him or something. But I do know that says McDonald's training manual or something. When you put the shit up there, now there you go. I promise you. Yes.
I'm either gonna put that scene up there or a big.
Oh, I guarantee you on all the connections I've ever made, it's 100% fact. It says McDonald's.
You cannot cheat Father Crime Time.
Damn it, that did happen one
time. My number 2 scene is the okay. Now what the f do you want? When he opens up. He is so that dude is so funny, and then the guy rolling down the stairs like, "Hey, Stu, you red Stu, motherfucker, and don't be pulling that falling down the stairs." And the guy is literally, he is unconscious. Like he kind of comes to a little bit, falls out again. But yeah, that whole scene where they
obviously you boys came in on a different boat.
Yeah, a little bit more of that. What did he say when?
You talking about when they're in the apartment?
Yeah. Okay. So. This is a place I was telling you about. It's real f***ed up. One window facing a brick wall.
I used to rent it to a blind man.
Now that is untrue, because the very next scene, we see Hakeem walk out onto the balcony from one window to say good morning, where he.
True.
Good morning, hey, f*** you. Yes, but f*** you too. Yes. But we see. Semi looking out the other window, and then we see a third window. So there are at least 3 windows in that apartment that are not facing a brick wall. They are facing like the main street.
Yeah, I agree. That's a very good point. I never thought about that. I will say this though. I think the original reason why they said it because it was a setup on it was almost felt like an In Living Color type of joke because of the dog and everything, the H-Dot dog and the man on the ground. So yeah, it was very good. That was very.
It was just one more thing to make the apartment shitty in the dialogue, but they didn't.
I know it happened. When I write in all caps, I know it happened. None of my other stuff is in all caps. I saw that shit, I'm like, the out of here. Listen, man, I'm gonna tell you something right now. The most disrespectful thing anybody can ever do to you as a human being is not what they call you, is spitting on somebody. Like, it's all bets are off. Like, you know, like, you should never put your hands on a woman unless that bit. Like, if you get spit on, you're inhumane now. You lost gender. You talk about fluidity. A, B, C, A through Z. Add all the letters to the LGBTQ, all of them. Because if you get spit on, it's go time. So that's the most disrespectful. What do you think the second most disrespectful thing you can do to somebody is?
But going down that vein, getting pissed on?
No.
On?
Throwing a strawberry milkshake on somebody with no lid on it. No. Did you see? You don't throw. You hand someone a milkshake.
Yeah.
You put it, bro. He threw it like. Hey, take care of this for me. By the time you said, "Hey," it was 7 feet in the air, and Simi, who had really not laughed or disrespected Hakeem the whole movie, even he was like. He couldn't even.
The thing is, even if he were to catch that like gracefully, it still would have ended up all over.
It was no lit, bro. It was no, and this was what fucking with me. That was one take, Tony. You know they couldn't redo that, because they weren't gonna keep giving them clothes and shit like that.
Yeah,
that's why Cindy was like, they probably was like, it's never gonna work. That shit worked here, so they had to keep it. Hey man, take care of this, bro. Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that sets him up as like he's a prick.
Oh shit.
Through and through.
Oh, he was a prick when he came and he was. Sorry, go ahead, man. I'm crying, man. I've seen this shit a million times. God.
My number one is the sexual chocolate show. The turn around, ladies. Show them there's a god. That whole.
No, please keep going. I want to hear it. No, I want to hear it. No, I'm cool with it. Go ahead. Go. I want to hear it.
I'm just letting the audience know. But what makes that scene so great is when the woman next to them like abruptly stands up like, "Yes, Lord," and their reaction like, "What the hell?" Like they've never been in
that type of ceremony.
Yeah,
never been to a Baptist church.
The other great thing about that is that if you look at everybody in the audience, the only person that is excited about this performance is Sweets. Like,
oh, he loves it. He loves that man. He loves it, and that's continuity through both films too. He loves that man. This man was my reverend when I was a little boy, and I love him. And like, I love
that froze him. He was like the Matrix broke down for a moment for him.
All right, now you do yours differently, because I don't number my scenes. To me, it was just like we talked about. There were so many, and like I said, that if I have other scenes, but if I don't say this, then it's going to be a disservice to our whole show and us as fans and everything. It's not one. It's you could buy. I would put this in the not even. I'm okay. I wouldn't say maybe top 10 scenes of all time in the film, but as far as comedy goes, these scenes into the top 10. The barbershop scene are top 10 all time. Mm-hmm. No questions asked. Like you said, you can't even call the fact that when you learn someone's improvised lines over and over. That wasn't in the script. I'm pretty sure it was scripted, but they went like, "No, you did. Yes, I did. No, you did. Who's next?" Like he couldn't win the argument, so he had to go to something that he comes in. You got Cuba Gooding Jr. sitting in the chair, not saying a fucking word.
Like, he's not even touching his head.
No. He's going. He said he told me Joe Louis 136 years old. Like, I mean, everything that happens, and like I said, and again, the ultimate cameo is that Cuba Gooding Jr. sitting in the chair, not saying.
Yeah.
He's sitting there getting his hair cut, and then motherfucker looks at him. He said, "Hey man," he said, "God damn, boy, what you putting in here?" I do nothing. That's my natural hair. He's like, "What this is?" Look, he's like, "No, this is juices and baby. Oh, ain't nothing but oat sperm." That's the Jackie Brown boy. You want one of them, motherfucker? And he said, he's like, "Just make it nice and neat. That'll be $8."
So there was a scene with Cuba Gooding where that got cut out, where like he gets the back of his, he accidentally shaves a part of the back of his head or something like that.
And speaking of that, really quick, was the fact that talk about being motivated. Like, you're on set with all these icons and you can't say a word. Talk about, hey, I'm going to kill my next audition.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to start with one of the things is it's maybe an honorable mention here. I want to give Guinness, if Guinness Books doesn't get their ass to Zamunda immediately, we just saw the longest continuous bark of any human in history. That talk about that's not even a callback. That's a rotary phone back. Like,
Yeah.
She came in that motherfucker like, and then she went hyena on this motherfucker. Like, she's still there. Like, she didn't leave.
That I thought was pretty. That was pretty clever. Yeah, have that.
Okay, so that's just my honorable mention. Don't go yet. You only have 2, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there we go. You might okay. All right. That's okay. I looked at the first ever selfie, and what I mean by the first ever selfie is Akeem's son. Remember from the first film, they were like, when I tell you the boy has his own money, and that was just money. But Akeem's son picks up a gold bar and looks at himself, so he sees his reflection in the image of his father, which he never knew. It's like the first year, it's a selfie. Like it made me think about how he held it up. I was like, is a phone? Like, he still see himself? A selfie. You're looking at you see yourself in the money. There you go. Go ahead.
Yeah.
See, okay.
I'll say my number 2 scene is when his son gets the lion. This for the sequel, I thought this was one of the few parts that stood on its own to be an interesting scene, like development. I thought it was cool the way he used what he knew from where he was from to succeed in the challenges that he has now. And so you have this like it's kind of like a Karate Kid feeling almost from the 80s. You're watching somebody overcome something, and then it comes back to the Coming to America comedy that it's just like pointed, where Tracy Morgan just screams out what we're all thinking, like, this is ridiculous. My nephew could be eaten by a lion. So he's very angry about that. But then the punchline is he's even more upset. There ain't even no spread, no lunch trays up here.
I did feel him on that. Like, what the fruits and like I definitely felt him on that. Now, this is another honorable mention because I think you'll appreciate this. I don't know if you caught this part. You remember how, again, I told you always I don't like sequels, and you've been more forgiving of sequels and been more accepting, and clearly you're speaking your mind on how you feel about this.
There's a flip side to that coin.
There's a flip side to that coin because the film itself, which you have to give some credence to, which may change your overall opinion at the end when I say this, they actually called themselves out on it. There's a scene where they're like, nobody wants to see a remake that they didn't really want made. We're like, now there's some exceptions. There's this, there's that. So they give you that satire in that scene. I'm like, okay, they did it. And like they say sequels that no one wanted or remakes that no one wanted. So the fact they called themselves out about it is, and I'll talk about it later, I thought that was very clever. But I thought it was clever.
That's like the equivalent of somebody saying like, I don't mean to be an asshole, but and then they proceed to say something that's like,
or the ultimate, hey, no disrespect.
Just all right. Well, no disrespect, then just shh.
But I like the fact that they address it. So you got to be. Here's the thing: you still got to be courageous enough to address it, and they did. Like how many times we say like, because guess what? At the end of the day, that's the discussion. People are going to say they shouldn't have did it. Remember when you first told me about this? I said I don't want them to do it, but I was coming from a place where I hope they don't think they can even match or top this, because there's a reason why there's records in the top of Mount Everest. Nobody's going to top it because it's the top of Mount Everest. So just tell me what you're trying to do, but we'll get there later. So I will say this really quick before I get to my number 1 was I love one of the best cameos in this film, and there were so many cameos. Jesus Christ, you may not understand this because I know you don't do the sports thing, but Dikembe Mutombo was in this movie. Somebody tried to go somewhere, and this motherfucker was like, no. Yeah, go ahead, it's okay. That's his thing. He puts his finger up. Look at me, everybody, all my sports fans out there, do it with me. No. When you go look this up, you're gonna fucking freak the out. No.
My number 1 is the evening that when Lisa and Akeem are in bed after she's surprised by the arrival of his son and Leslie Jones. Mm-hmm. When he nudges her, he's like, I had a very long and tiresome trip. I thought maybe you might want to. It's like, but that when his response to her just shunning him, that was like the Eddie Murphy that I came to see in that moment. He's like, all right. Crazy of me to even ask. I love you, my sweet. Sweet dreams, my sweet. And then he lays there and there's like that beat and he goes, this is bullshit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He gave it to you another time. He did. I'm trying to remember when he did it again, but that was very awesome scene.
All right. What was your number 1?
Number 1. It was very hard for me, and I'm not being funny when I say this because it's like I say, to me, it was the mopping scene. when Eddie went back, King went back and he was mopping, and we got him and John Amos, because people truly do not understand when you have two icons and two legends from two basically different. Like, to us, Eddie Murphy's the OG, but before Eddie Murphy being OG, there were OGs, you know, and before the people the Ben Stillers of the world, there were Jerry Stillers. Before though, you know what I'm saying, though, like the Chevy Chases of the world, Sidney Poitier's, the Robert Towns of the world, like we've seen so many things. But when you have two icons come together, and then, to me, like you say, while people will have their opinions about the sequel, to me it still goes back to the writing. And at the end of the day, I will talk about that later, that scene to me made me feel. Now, and here's the crazy part about it. It made me feel something that the first film did not make me feel, and I'm being honest with you, because the first film was such a classic, yet it had touching moments. But this wasn't touching to me. This was like, you knew this is the last time you was gonna see Eddie Murphy and John Amos on the screen together, and not even just that. Forget that. Okay, you want me to take that part away from? I'll take.
I'm like a Catholic boy. I didn't come here to be touched.
All right. Well, listen. But you did, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you, but you did. Let me tell you why. Because, again, remember. I don't even have to say remember. I'm telling you, sir, that this scene here touched on so many levels because of the fact Eddie said, you know, mopping gave me so much. It reminds me so much of peace and this and that. Even you brought it up earlier with the mopping, like how it was a callback to something John Amos did. Mm-hmm. So my point to this, it's like the ultimate call. What happened when two people? This ultimate game of tag. You literally have these two icons there, and so we're saying the mop means something from 30 years ago, but John Amos is saying, nah, this is from 50 years ago, 60 years ago for me. So that scene, to see two legends there, and for it to be a sequel, not a different movie, but to be a sequel of the direct movie, and then to have that conversation, there were no jokes in that scene, and they truly just, right before he walks out, he says, Akeem, what do you think your mother would have said? And see, that wasn't lost on me. They saved that moment, because there was no mention of his mother up until that point at all.
Yeah, it was a good scene.
Yeah, right. So for me to be saying that's my best scene in Coming to America, which is not a considered a comedic scene, I'm just saying that I'm proud of that moment that they had.
All right, what were your favorite scenes in Coming to America and Coming to America? Put them in the comments. Talk about it. Help our algorithm.
Why don't you subscribe? It'll last longer.